Hello. Last week in one of my videos, there were some comments that I may have been a little harsh on the Catholic Church because I showed a statue of the adoration of the Christ child. And I seriously meant no disrespect by that. I respect the Catholic Church very much, and I always agree with them to respect that. And I was trying to make a point that all Christians and Muslims and Jews and everyone, often we make God in our image instead of the way it should be. So I apologize, and I don't know if this will make it up or not, but today we're going to talk about Pope Francis and draw from one of his recent lessons. I'm going to steal from him. Pope Francis told a story. I don't know if this was an article or a sermon, but I read about it, and that he made this example of a soldier is in the battlefield and he is critically wounded. He is brought in to the treating medical people, and they concentrate on his high cholesterol or the cavities in his teeth instead of the life-threatening wounds that he has. And he was trying to make the point that often in Christianity, what we do is we focus on the smaller things instead of prioritizing the more important and sometimes life-threatening issues that confront the church today. And Pope Francis really made a point on this very recently. Last week, he appointed a new cardinal from the United States, and the person he appointed was Bishop Robert McElroy, who is the bishop of the San Diego diocese. And he, historically, that position probably would have gone to somebody, an archbishop in one of the larger dioceses, or one of the larger cities in America, but he bypassed the Archbishop of Los Angeles, who is over the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and the the Archbishop of San Francisco, and appointed McElroy. And Francis was very clear about why he did McElroy. He said that he did because of his pastoral ministry. Now, we've been, this Pentecost, been studying the book of Acts, and most of Acts is about preaching and evangelism, but a great deal of it, unfortunately, is about the disagreements in the early church about doctrine and the discussions and their arguments about that. And today, unfortunately, very tragically, the church is both Catholic and Protestant. The Christian church, there's a lot of disagreement about doctrine and a lot of discussion about doctrine. That's all we seem to hear on the news is about churches breaking up because of doctrine. Well, in picking Bishop McElroy, Pope Francis picked somebody who shared his priority of pastoral approach to ministry. That's what I call it, the pastoral approach to ministry. And it says the application of Christian beliefs to the lives of people, what really matters to people, what makes a difference in people's lives is not these disagreements necessarily, but this thing being pastoral. He said the church, instead of focusing on abortion and same-sex marriage and all the other issues there in today's headlines, which there's so much disagreement within the church with that, the church, people are breaking up because of that, that what we should instead, Francis says, is bring the church's focus on the issues that really do make a difference in people's lives. Things like the environment and climate change, certainly, race and income inequality, world immigration, not just the United States, but world immigration. These are the issues that are really important. And that Francis says treating abortion and same-sex marriage as the preeminent and most important issues relativizes all other issues, denies them the attention that they deserve to have. So what Francis did is he chose McElroy over these others because he wants somebody in that position who is pastoral. Now notice Francis is not changing the teachings of the church. He is simply wanting the church to change its priorities. I think that's an important thing to remember. Being bishop in San Diego, McElroy had to deal with firsthand with the issues of climate change and race and poverty and certainly immigration. He led a diocese that's 66% Hispanic, so he has a lot of cultural diversity in his background. But one of the quotes that I really like from McElroy in reading about his life is there was a situation in Southern California where a gay Catholic was forced to resign from his teaching position because he was gay. And McElroy made this statement regarding that. He says, there is nothing Christian or Catholic about the hateful and vile people whose persecution drove him from his ministry. So, showing what he believes about that. But speaking of that, it says in our study of this Pentecost of Acts, we see the church is emphasizing doctrine so much and being in disagreement. And tragically, today, we see churches and entire denominations breaking up over doctrine. But what Jesus needs us to be reminded is that Jesus gave us examples of pastoral care. Yeah, he said, love God and love others. He said, treat others as you want to be treated. He said, feed my sheep. So when I think about this, that Jesus, in all of his ministry, when we're reading the Gospels, I can't think of one example, and maybe somebody can contradict me on this, but I can't think of one example where Jesus approached somebody new and says, what do you believe? No, what Jesus said instead was, follow me. So, for Jesus' example, we say, thanks be to God. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.